Thank you for coming along this morning for the official opening of the Narromine Campaign Office. Recognise the elders, past, present and future. Ask Ruth to do a welcome to country.
Okay, welcome to country on this Wiradjuri land where we stand today. I pay my respects to elders past and present who hold the knowledge and the history. I believe together we all traditional custodians of these lands, rivers and skies of this great Wiradjuri nation. Also our younger generations here today that we will depend on to carry us into the future to live in peace and respect for each other. I would like to say a big thank you to Mr. Mathew Dickerson for inviting me to welcome you all here today, which I do with much pleasure. I wish him all the success in the future campaign, and I also acknowledge the important distinguished guest here today. Once again, thank you, and all have a Merry Christmas and thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Ruth. I've got some other people I'd like to acknowledge standing around here today. I've got the Mayor of Narromine, Craig Davies. Thanks for coming along, Craig. I've got the former independent member for the seat of Dubbo, Dawn Fardells, come along to join us. Thank you, Dawn. I've also got the Deputy Mayor who will be officially cutting the ribbon, Dawn Collins. Thank you, Deputy Mayor of Narromine Shire. Thank you, Dawn. And we're surrounded by some Emeritus Mayors. We've got two former Mayors of Narromine Shire, both Emeritus Mayors, Bill McAnally and Bob Barnett. And we've also got Emeritus Mayor, who used to be the Mayor of Dubbo City Council, Alan Smith. So thank you for joining us as well. One of the main points that I made when I made my announcement back on the 22nd of May was that part of my frustration was that the major parties tend to forget about the smaller locations in any electorate. And I made a commitment when I first made my announcement that I would visit the entire electorate and spend time across the entire electorate and make sure that every individual person had the opportunity to be represented. I talked about the 131 localities across the entire electorate, and I made a commitment on that day that I would visit and talk to people in every one of those 131 localities. In this Shire, I've talked to people in Bundamar, I've talked to people in obviously Narromine, in Gingin, I've talked to people in Dandaloo, I've talked to people in every locality so far across the entire Narromine Shire. There has never been an office opened up in Narromine before, and I've talked to a number of people to find out if any candidate ever before has opened up an office, and at this stage no one can ever remember a candidate opening an office. I've opened up an office in Wellington, I've opened up an office in Dubbo and now in Narromine, and next week we'll be opening up an office in Mudgee. But the idea is to make sure that people across the entire electorate have the opportunity to speak to potentially their elected representative. Hopefully I am that representative next March. But Emeritus Mayor Bob Barnett, can you come and say a few words please? Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, Matthew. Firstly, I'd like to thank you, Matthew, for the invitation to be here today. It's very obvious to me, having lived in Narromine for 77 years, that this is the first time we've ever had a campaign candidate here to open his campaign. And I think it's pretty important that all these small towns, given that there are so many of them and so many locations, do have an active live wire member, so that they're going to represent the interests of not only the big towns like Dubbo, but also these smaller western towns. With drought and pretty tough times, a lot of towns in the west are battling pretty hard. We need all the support we can get, and I'm sure the current mayor would be aware of the need to get the funding. Local government only gets about a quarter of its funding from rates. The rest of it comes from various types of grants, and an active member plays a big role in getting these grants to small towns in so many ways. I think it's fair to say when you look at that car, and I recognise Dandaloo there, which is close to my heart. I don't recognise every other. Tom Ingler's another one there, but I don't recognise all the others. That we do have a candidate here who's certainly very, very active, and is certainly out in the community, finding out the needs of the disparate areas of the community. I wish Matthew well in all your endeavours, and on election day I hope all goes well for you. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Thank you. We've also got Emeritus Mayor Bill McAnally to say a few words at the opening. Thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Matthew. Thank you, everybody, for turning up today. Bob, Dawn, Craig, Ruthie, thank you very much. Dawn, again, thank you for being here, and Al. And Matthew, he was Mayor of Dubbo when I was Mayor of Narromine, and they were a big part of OROC, OROC was very important to us, our region, and Matthew was very, very focused on our region, not only Dubbo at the time of being Mayor, but he realised the importance of having a strong region. And I think that's why he stepped up today, because of what we went through when we were on there and how it was all handled. And I think we got a little bit of sick of party line politics, and there's no give or no take in them. And what we had to go through in those 4 years of the amalgamation, all that was pretty horrendous at the end. And I don't think they got it right at the end. There was better ways of doing it. But anyway, that's part of why we're here. But Matthew is a very, very passionate person. Always has been, I think. If you ask his wife, he's a bit of a one of those Energizer bunnies at all times. I'm not quite sure when he sleeps, but to have an office open in Narromine is wonderful, and look, it's a big thing for it. I just, what we've got to realise now is that there's no more poles and wires to sell. There's no more snowy mountains to sell, and the money's been thrown around everywhere, and it's still going to be thrown around till the election. And I'm just a little bit worried at the end of it what we end up with. As Bob would know, in rural councils, and Craig and Dawn would know, in rural councils, our main focus is rural roads, and we'll never ever have that money from rates or anything like that, because we don't make enough money out of rates, and we need proper funding to get into those rural roads to be able to fix it, so we can transport, what we've got to transport out of our farmers, who are our biggest ratepayers in all these rural areas. So it's very important that we take that into focus, and I know Matthew will. Matthew is passionate about everything he does, and look, if he gets in, we'll have a very, very good representative on the things. And Matthew, all the very best, mate. You've got my support 100%. Thank you very much. And he does look dapper in a suit, really dapper.
Thank you, Bill. I appreciate those very kind words. And so I've got Dawn Collins, who's the current Deputy Mayor of Narromine Shire Council, and I asked Dawn to say a few words, and then we've got the official ribbon to cut. Dawn?
Thank you. Thank you. I think everything's just about being covered of what needs to be said here today. To my knowledge, this is the first time there's been a campaign office open in Narromine. I think it's very exciting for Matthew to take this opportunity to open up here in Narromine. I think is a fair indication that if he is successful next year, that we will get good representation. Because the way the government's going on at the moment is you just cannot have faith in them, and so I would I'd like to wish Matthew all the very best, and I think that he will be successful, and I will look forward to working with him next year, and I'm sure that we will benefit as a community from his contribution to us. Thank you.
Thanks, Dawn. So thank you for coming along. Thanks, Dawn, for doing that for me. Thanks for coming along. We've got the office open now. Thank you to the men's shed. They've provided all the furniture there in the men's shed this morning. We went over and picked it up from the men's shed. A great job that they did there. So come in, be here. The idea is that this office will be open for about 4 hours a day during the campaign. We'll probably start manning it just after Christmas, open about 4 hours a day, but I'll be here on a regular basis anyway. So I'm in Narromine at the moment about once a week, and I'll continue to do that. I'm happy to see people here, happy to go out and see people in their business, at their homes, wherever it might be. But it's great to have a base here, a location here we can start that from. So thank you everyone for attending today. I look forward to being a fantastic representative for Narromine Shire, for the area of Narromine, and please enter. Thank you.
Where are we going? Yeah.